Welcome back to Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, presented by Zwift. We had the travel day from the Netherlands, but today is stage 4 of the Vuelta a España. It is the first, to be honest, interesting road stage, although the TTT had huge gaps. 153 kilometers. We're in the Basque Country, or going towards it, particularly tomorrow, from Vitoria-Gasteiz to La Guardia. It has a lot of irregular medium mountain climbs throughout the middle of this stage, sort of 5.3k 7%, 7k is 5%, a very technical descent, and then about a short run in and then a final ramp. 900 meters, 8.4% the finish. Don't know how narrow it was. Don't know whether it's more irregular. Don't know the road surface. That sort of gradient, all of that can make a big difference between Hayter winning or Higuita winning. And yeah, that's basically, it was a very tricky stage to call. I think I went with Pacher originally in the preview from the break. Sort of right, definitely wrong, because we had a breakaway with Lutsenko in it, Benji. I was surprised because I thought he came top 10 in the Tour de France GC last year, and this is a parcours that is
And
really
this year,
good for
right?
him. Did he?
I think he slipped into the top 10 this year as well, but I could be wrong in that aspect. Nonetheless, he was in the breakaway together with Demarchi. Okamika once again. He's the guy that was in the breakaway yesterday. No, not on the rest day. I mean, before the rest day. And it was that dude that in Andalusia got slapped by Hergots on that hill that I spoke about last time. James Shaw, pretty good climber in my opinion. Jared Drisners, wasn't he supposed to be signed as a lead out at Lotto Soudal back in the day? And now, yeah, he's
He
kind
had
of
a
doing
bad
other
crash
stuff.
at UAE Tour,
Yeah, yeah, true.
and he's just coming back from that.
First race back, La Vuelta. That's pretty crazy to be honest, and it's good to see him back in the peloton. As simple as that. Also, Joan Bau from I think Euskaltel. Yes, indeed, from Euskaltel. Don't have anything too major to say outside of him podiuming a Spanish 2.2 race this year. So that happened. Anyway, this breakaway was ahead, and this breakaway stayed ahead for quite a bit, although the gap was being controlled by two teams at around 3 minutes for most of the stage, it felt like. Jumbo and Bora. Now, after the stage, some Allman said that Bora started controlling, and Jumbo, as a consequence, was like, we might as well also do so and try and get this towards a sprint in that aspect. So that's how that cooperation apparently came to stands, because initially Jumbo apparently didn't have the plans to have a controlled stage and would have been found with the breakaway winning, according to the post-race interview of Sam Allman. Nonetheless, we go towards, most importantly, I guess, I think the Puerto de Herrera climb is the only thing we need to mention from this point onwards, because when you talk about this breakaway, yeah, the
I had a
peloton kind of
siesta.
needs to. Yeah, okay, you had a siesta. Okay, we'll talk about your siesta in a bit. When it comes to the Puerto de Herrera, the break needs to be caught by the top, in my opinion, because otherwise you've got the chance of the peloton miscalculating the break, or no?
Yeah, well, like someone like Lutsenko, you give them 30 seconds at the top, and then he's going to risk threat of death on that descent. He could take another 15, 20. Now you have a problem. So, yeah, I agree. You want them caught beforehand. Unfortunately for Lutsenko, the break just wasn't strong enough. Like, people were dropping off, and the gap was just plummeting under that pacing. Mullen, Turnison, not sure if Affini pulled, Koch
Yeah,
for Bora Hansgrohe. But yeah, it really was like a status quo, just really that break until that climb. And we got to that climb, and Trek Segafredo went to the front and started pacing. And I was like, all right, fair enough. You do a false pace for Pedersen because you don't want him to get dropped. You don't want another team to assume responsibility. But the pace was hard. They were dropping people. And this climb, by the way, it has uh, reasonable gradient, 5-7% at the start. Then the second sort of 751 kilometer is about 10% plus. And then it is 5% kilometer. And then it's basically flat. Fake news climb if we've ever seen one. And a lot of riders were under pressure. And we were like, what? Higuita, who Bora presumably were
yeah.
riding for today, was at the back, sort of yo-yoing almost. He didn't look good. Ayuso actually got dropped. Hayter was sliding to the back as well. And with Hayter, this is actually the perfect climb to do the Hayter climbing strategy, where you know afterwards, if as long as you stay in contention, you're going to get the huge draft on the flat section at the end of the climb. So you start at close at the front, and then you slide back on the steep section. Don't spike your watts, and then you'll be fine. In theory, risk is the descent. That's what he seemed to be doing. But were you surprised, Benji, to see Ayuso and Higuita struggling on this?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to struggle on this. We know from the Tour de Romandie, I think, where Higuita said that he's got trouble with hay fever. I don't know if that has an influence on today's stage, for example, when that has an effect on him in races. Perhaps that's what happened today. I hope that's what happened today because I want him to be in form in the coming days because I said he would win multiple stages in this Grand Tour. And if he's in this form every single day, then that would be troublesome. So obviously on a climb like this, you don't want to see Higuita drop off the back. Ayuso as well. Although when it comes to Ayuso, like we didn't know what to expect before the Grand Tour. Should we expect initially that he goes from G4GC the first time around? I think with his qualities, that is the obvious expectation, and that's the card he was dealt before this Grand Tour. It's kind of the same way Rodriguez is maybe a bit further in his already packing the palmarès before this Vuelta than Ayuso, I dare to say. Rodriguez has proven himself more before this Vuelta than Ayuso has, but Ayuso has more raw talent, is what I would say. But both of them are going to have the inevitable pressure that people expect them to ride for GC in this Grand Tour, right?
Yes. Yeah, I would have, if he could do it. Like, if he gets hard dropped on Sierra Nevada, whatever. But to be getting dropped by Trek pacing for Mads Pedersen on a punchy sort of climb,
Yeah.
that's what's just really, really surprising because I think there are question marks over Ayuso's long climbing, but his punch in Catalonia was really, really good. And to get dropped here, he came back, and this is what happened. He came back on this climb. There weren't serious gaps on it because of the shallow sections. We get to the top. There's 3 bonification seconds on it. Jumbo have started pacing after Trek on the flatter section. Pedersen's looking good. Roglic is their third wheel. Kuss is there. Harper's doing a good job. And Alaphilippe jumps out of the peloton to go for the bonus seconds, which Roglic almost seemed like he was going to let his domestiques take. It triggers Roglic to follow, who then sprints. Jay Vine also goes to them. I don't know why, actually, because he's already behind on GC. But he looked good, I guess. Maybe he thought they were going to continue over the top. Possible.
Nah. I can't defend Vine here. There's no point to do
I
this.
have to.
He's on 3 minutes in GC before the stage, and he's following people that are fighting for the.
He thought they were going for the stage, Benji. It's hard. He thought they were going for the stage. They thought about it.
Yeah.
What do you make of Alaphilippe going for those bonus seconds? I think it's a terrible idea.
I think him going for the bonus seconds was most likely an attempt to take them away from Roglic. But the thing is, Roglic, like you said, he didn't really show anything that was like, oh, I'm going to go for the bonus seconds. So perhaps he should have been on the wheel of Roglic and taken it away if Roglic went for it, for example.
Exactly.
That's the more clever.
Out.
Or did he expect to ambush Roglic by doing that? I don't know, but it's weird, eh?
I'm looking through it in a negative lens because we're about to get to the next part of this. I'll recap the stage properly. I mean, Jay Vine, we mentioned him. Zwift Academy is back. Registrations are open for 2022. If you're aiming for a pro contract like him or Neve Bradbury, or just looking to kickstart your fitness with some structured sessions, Zwift Academy is running at the end of this year from September. It will help you get fitter and have more fun on the bike. 6 workouts to complete with baseline rides to compare your progress before and after. Zwift Academy, thanks to Zwift for supporting the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. We get to the top. Okay, Roglic taking the bonus seconds. Remco attacks the descent. I feel like Roglic, I actually saw a little glint in his eye. I can see it through his sunglasses on TV. Over the top, I think he thought about it. I think he thought about pushing on. No risk, no glory.
Yeah.
Remco does go to the front, sort of attacking. And I think Remco is comfortable descending at high speeds. I think he does not like being on other people's wheel in a technical descent. That's why I think he did that.
I think so as well. I think in the incidents he's had in descents, it's always in a response to something that something occurs. I think in the Denmark thing where he straight up rode into a side lane in a corner, that was a consequence of probably miscalculating the person ahead of him, or the person ahead of him making a move and him thinking, oh shit, panicking, stuff like that. I think the straight up descents, the logical descents are no problem for him. It's the responses to things that happen in the descents that are an issue for him, in my opinion. We don't know if it's still an issue. We have to see. Like, it could just be gone, but we won't know until we see it again if it's not gone. That's kind of the issue, when it comes to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Lombardia crash. I remember an interview. He said someone did break or missed a corner, and that caused him to crash. But there's no footage of it. I mean,
Neebly,
yeah,
but
he's yeah, don't follow Nibali. And that's what he was pushing on. He was looking good. There were gaps being created, perhaps bigger gaps. Could have happened. He's got Roglic on the wheel, and Alaphilippe's not letting the gap go. He's like sixth wheel. He's not letting it go out. I don't know if there was an Ineos rider in their group as well. They've got Carapaz, Sivakov, Gegenhardt, Rodriguez. I still don't know who's the GC leader. I think Sivakov is the best one. And Alaphilippe's not letting the gap go. So this was clearly the Alaphilippe stage. We could see from what Alaphilippe was doing. We get to the valley. I think one Astana rider attacks, not Nibali yet. Then
no?
Nibali,
Oh, yeah.
Goes after. There was an Astana rider before him. He was with, I can't remember who. And it's all, anyway, they get to the base of the climb. It's very, very narrow. Jumbo Visma have Roglic in good position. It's incredible, Benji. Like Roglic, we say, positioning wise compared to Pogačar in the Tour de France, he's not as good. But then, like in this Vuelta stage, he was moving through gaps. He was leaning on people. There was so much. I'd encourage people to watch last K of this. The argy-bargy on this climb was crazy.
I do want to mention that I feel like Roglic was not positioned well at the bottom of the climb necessarily. I felt like Movistar was setting Valverde up quite nicely, or Mars up quite nicely at the front, those two. And Roglic was still in like 10th to 15th position. And there was one moment on the climb where Roglic straight up went to the right side of the road, while a Movistar rider was dropping on the right side of the road, went in between the Movistar rider and the other riders on the left side of the road. Like, that was an argy-bargy moment. He just was able to go through without touching anyone. And that's when he really moved up. And that's when he moved up into, I think, third, fourth position on the climb. And that's where he gets in that nice position where suddenly Trek starts moving up with Pedersen. But I'm actually not sure who was leading out Pedersen on this climb.
Yeah, I mean, they had Bernard did a really, really good job early for them. Good team performance from them. I think it was Kenny. Maybe it was Kenny. Maybe it was a bit
Probably
big to be Kenny. He's been in really good shape as he showed at Burgos. And I almost feel like Benji, the Trek lead out, was too hard. This climb levels off in the last 100 meters, which suits Pedersen. He wants a late sprint. He's got, in terms of his peak, 5 seconds. One assumes it's going to be a lot bigger than Roglic, who is heavier than. But the Trek lead out was really, really hard. It was perfect for Roglic. He slots right onto Pedersen's wheel, right where he needs to be. Enric Mas is there. He showed Enric Mas. I can't even explain it anymore. Like coming third on this finish. He showed at Valdepeñas de Jaén last year, but this is even easier than that, coming third. I'm like, inexplicable. I don't understand. Pedersen being let out. Roglic sees a gap on the left-hand bend. Trek open it up. Roglic is like, thank you very much. I will have the inside line, and opens up his sprint. It looks exactly like his Paris 2021 ones, where he's just like launching he's like, no big peak. He's like, I'm going to grind you off the wheel like he did to Laporte on Sharuba, and he torches Pedersen. He just gaps him off the wheel. Pedersen can't come around because his legs were toast, and Roglic wins by bike lengths on Pedersen. I have to say, it's a crazy level from Pedersen. Like after the Tour, in the heat, to come second here, maybe if it was a little bit slower the climb, he could have won. Probably not, but great performance from him. Enric Mas third. Quentin Pacher fourth. I picked him. I thought it was going to be from the break, but he's actually punching really, really well this year.
I told you you'd do well from the peloton.
Maybe.
So, us combined was a good pick for this stage when it comes to Pacher, even though I've got no credit to get for the Pacher pick, and you deserve all the credit. But I do want to mention when it comes to Pedersen, really strong performance, and we're talking about the lead out being too hard for Pedersen, but on the other hand, he's getting second on a stage like this, and is it also because his lead out is so significant that the other riders are not strong enough anymore to Peter Pedersen, who doesn't have perhaps the best sprint anymore at the end of this stage, to still come past him at the end of this stage. So it's all combined there, because if Roglic wasn't here, Pedersen has a fantastic lead out and he wins this stage. And if Roglic is a tiny bit worse, same occasion. So
Yeah.
I think it's about small percentages and nothing too major there. And I think that it's something to be admired and not necessarily criticized what Trek did here with Pedersen. And they actually, I think Pedersen said in the post-race interview that his goal for this Vuelta is getting the green jersey. I think after this
Ooh.
stage, he's second on 9 points of Sam Bennett. And if he can continue doing stuff like
Roglic is
this,
taking
then
it.
I fear so as well after seeing what happened today when it comes to Roglic. But it
Yeah.
depends on how many stages go to the break and not
Yeah.
to the break. Because with Higuita showing this form, will Bora be willing to do the same work in
They
similar
can't.
stages in the future?
Well, yeah, let's finish the top 10 and you won't hear his name. Sivakov, great in 5th. O'Connor 6th. Hayter 7th. We'll talk about him in a second. Evenepoel will also talk about 8th. Kelderman 9th. Hindley 10th. Gegenhardt 11th. Koos 12th. Same time. They're all in a group. There was then a gap, and it's Simon Yates 13th. He loses 7 seconds. Other GC contenders of note who lose 7 seconds. Carapaz, Landa, Almeida, Carthy, McNulty, Menkes, C-Rod, I think,
El
already said.
Patron!
El Patron. It's not one for him, is it? Miguel Angel Lopez loses 7 seconds. Buitrago, kind of surprising. Buitrago wasn't in Group 1, frankly. Thought he'd be really good on this. And that's about it from the GC guys. But yeah, 7 seconds. Could have been more. On Higuita, Benji, they paced all day, and then he's almost dropping on that climb. It's really surprising. Like, there's no way they're riding for Kelderman and Hindley on this climb with Roglic here. I don't understand it. Right? He just doesn't have the form because like he's fast. We saw him. Didn't he win the Tour de Pologne? Punchy one. He
Who?
did when Berwick destroyed Carapaz, and then Higuita came back and he won that. Yeah, Higuita won that. I don't know.
I want to talk for one more second about Evenepoel and Alaphilippe on this final climb. We saw for a moment that I think halfway the climb, Van Wilder was at the front. Like this, I swear, every single commentator on planet Earth has at some point gotten Van Wilder and Evenepoel wrong in some shape or form because they look so similar, except for the riding style of Van Wilder. He's a tiny bit more blocky on his bike. But I wanted to mention Van Wilder was looking back to look where Evenepoel was. Perhaps the goal was for Van Wilder to position Evenepoel at the front, but that failed because Van Wilder was looking for Evenepoel. And like you said, Alaphilippe was likely going for his own chances on the stage. But is that a mistake? And would it have looked different if Van Wilder was able to position Evenepoel properly on this climb?
Quickstep had an absolute shocker today. If I have to be consistent, remember when I went off about gifting Pogacar 4 bonus seconds in the Tour de France, which were ultimately irrelevant?
Yeah.
Well, the same applies here. They didn't pace the break back, fine, whatever, but the Alaphilippe, he stuffed the intermediate, the bonification sprint. He then didn't let the gap go to Remco on the descent. Quickstep have 3 riders in this big group. That's terrible. 3 riders. Masnada, Seri, Dries Devenines, Cavagna. Where are they? They were all dropped, I think. I mean, I'm looking through. I'm getting ready to apologize. Dries Devenines, Vivaika, Seri, Cavagna, Masnada, all on like 10 minutes plus on a stage that Trek rode for Pedersen in a group that reached the base of that final climb 50 deep. That's not good enough for a team that. This is the same team that was pacing the Hayeska Belt in Classica San Sebastian. So, like, it's not like this is so hard.
Do we have to start fearing? I think we had a positive COVID at Quickstep before the Vuelta started. One of their sports directors. Do we have to start fearing that it might have an effect on a rider here or there in this team? I hope not, eh? Let's be honest about it.
Let's hope but this today is mind-blowingly bad from those guys, unless they're doing some big brain, we don't need to be there in the finish, but that does not make sense to me, because Remco, Ilan van Wilder did a great job trying to bring Remco up. Remco was in a really bad position. And yeah, like, I can't criticize Jumbo, which they did get the stage win for Wout van Aert, and then not say, like, really, Quick Step? You're going to let Alaphilippe go for his own result to the point where he doesn't let gaps go to Remco. He ends up on 28 seconds on this finish to Mads Pedersen, Julian Alaphilippe. Like, he must know his. Like, how is he on 30 seconds, Benji? Like, literally not competitive on the finish. And they have one rider in the group bringing Remco up. Like, you against Primoz Roglic, back to back to back winner, you cannot afford to do that. And Remco, to his credit, finished on the same time from a dog shit position. Like, they need to sort it out. If there's not enough other riders in the group and they want to go for GC, then you can't be trying to play both against someone like Roglic at the Vuelta. So if I'm Lefebvre and Evenepoel, I'd be having some words this evening about, come on, that wasn't good enough, and tomorrow has to be about Remco. But yeah, anything else before we move on to that stage? Anyone else surprised? O'Connor looks good finishing that group. Like, I'm not surprised Almeida was on a gap of 7 seconds. That's just like, he probably entered in a bad position. Anyone surprise you with how well or poorly they did?
Can we talk about the Australians in this race? Where
Of
is
course.
Vine and Plap today, unfortunately?
Vine on a minute.
Is he losing time on purpose?
I don't know.
You hope so.
I would never. I'm never privy to it. I'm punchy finish, but yeah, here we go for stages, one would think, or trying to backdoor GC like Haig did last year if he is. I don't know, but I don't think losing a minute here really matters.
For Vine.
Froome lost 14 minutes.
Plap it does. I think for Plap it makes him domestique from this point onwards.
I think he already was. Like, he was going back to look for Hayter on that climb. I think they already have, like, Sivakov, Gegenhardt, Carapaz, Rodriguez. There's already 4 guys who are going for GC. It's almost, I know I would have liked him to go for it, but I think that was wishful thinking. No, yeah, Hindley looks good. He's in that group. Carapaz, I'm actually surprised he did lose time. That's not great, actually. Maybe he got caught up in the argy-bargy. I don't know, but GC.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, sorry.
I think when it comes to the people that are on 7 seconds, we need to consider positioning and the argy-bargy on the final climb as a potential reasoning towards them losing time. I don't expect most riders on 7 seconds here to be terrible on the longer mountain stage where positioning doesn't matter, for example. I think we'll see a difference there, although it does show how certain teams were able to position themselves better on the climb like this. And even an Evenepoel, who was not in a good position, was able to get out of that bad position and still get a decent result for what we expect from a guy like him on a finish like this. Like, this is not an Evenepoel stage. This is a Roglic/Hater stage. And
we're not allowed.
Haters,
no, they're not called Hater stages anymore when they have World Tour designation. If it's Dot Pro Andalusia, Hater stage, not World Tour.
Aren't these the Matthew stages or the court stage, or are we like?
This is a Matthew stage. They're now called Matthew stages again.
Roglic stages.
No, because the beauty of Roglic is everyone overlooks him for the stage, and then he's like, "How did you forget about me?" and just tortures everybody. But yeah, Hater being beaten by Enric Mas on this finish. It's the Vuelta a España. It's very, very strange. Tomorrow's stage, Irún to Bilbao, runs along the coast or from the border with France along the Basque Country to Bilbao. It's pretty flat though as it goes past San Sebastian. Doesn't go up the Hayes-Gabel or Erlites or anything like that. And they do sort of 4Ks 5%, 4Ks 5.6% back to back as they get towards Bilbao, north of the motorway. They then do 2 repetitions of the Alto del Vivero, 4.6Ks, 8%. I got to check in Basque Country. Always got to check the actual profile. It goes 7.5, 7.5, 10%, 6%, 8% is the climb. The last climb or repetition they do has a bonus gate on the top, just like today. That crest 14.5 Ks from the finish. About 13 to 12 Ks of that is just pure descent. And then it's about a 1 kilometer flat sprint or 2K sprint in Bilbao. I think Evenepoel needs to send this, Benji. And my question is, if he does, if you're Evenepoel, do you work with Roglic? And if you're Roglic, do you work with Evenepoel? Because Roglic is going to be able to follow him.
I think they should work with each other. Wait. Let's take this differently first. Let's talk about how the team should approach it. Because if you're quick step, like I wouldn't be the team controlling the stage. You don't have enough riders that are
No.
significant to do that. I'm thinking about trying to get riders in the breakaway that are likely not going to make it over the climbs in the first place with an Evenepoel group, and using those as potential satellite riders between the two Alto de Viveros, for example. I haven't figured out where an Evenepoel should attack, probably on the second last Vivero, to be honest. And I also think that the Morga is that 3.6% is on paper not serious enough to be able to get away for an Evenepoel leader, even though he's better at the lower gradients than a 14%, for example. But I'd argue it might be too easy for him to get away a 3.6% section. So second last Alto de Vivero is the one where I'm shouting an Evenepoel attack, perhaps. Do you think that's too early?
Well, no. You've got me thinking, and it's now like, if this was stage 20, what would we say? If Roglic was 30 seconds ahead of Evenepoel, we would say get someone like, maybe that's what they were doing, losing time today, but get Seri or Masnada or Vivaca in the breakaway for
Yeah.
that flat, because they do one lap of Bilbao before they do the last Vivero. It's about 13 kilometers of flat. You'll need some help there. Well, Evenepoel doesn't really. We would say blow this up on the second last Vivero. And to be honest, some people look suspect. You got to try people. Like there was this
Yeah.
one soft climb today, and there's people getting dropped, and then Remco's pushing the descent. There's nearly splits, and Roglic was there looking good. So this is harder tomorrow. 4.6 Ks, 8% after some climbs beforehand. The Morga climb is not that hard though. Pretty much just a little punchy at the end. I don't know, probably a bit early. The second last one, if Roglic doesn't go with the problem for Remco, Benji, is if Roglic doesn't go with him, then they will chase him super hard and his gains will be limited.
But it's still Remco.
It is, but it's just, I don't know. If I was him, to be honest, I would go on the last one and just send the descent and then hope Roglic joins me, and then Sivakov and Rodriguez, and see which Ineos guy is willing to work with each other. I think going on the second last one will be difficult, but I mean, did he go on the Heiskabel? He went on Alliance, but that's way, way, way harder. But the quick Roglic though, why would Roglic work with Remco?
Why would Roglic work with Remco?
He's in red,
No point to.
but if you're gaining time on a Hindley, Kelderman, who can be very annoying in week 2 and 3, on the Ineos guys, and it just means that Remco stays the same gap behind you, and you could be thinking there's a decent chance Remco blows up on Sierra
Yeah, true.
Nevada or makes a big mistake. I think it's worth it to work with Evenepoel if I was
I think it
Roglic.
depends on how far from the finish line. If it's, let's say, your situation happens, Remco attacks on Vivero, Roglic joins on Vivero, then it's only one descent to the line and a sprint that on paper Roglic beats Evenepoel on. So that's bonus seconds for Roglic if he helps out in that situation, and time gain on other people. So in that situation, I see it useful. If we're talking about second last climb, I'd rather see him wait and create a situation where Jumbo's in control again with more than just Roglic in the group, for example. You know?
Yes, I think. Then the question is, yeah, what if there's Enric Mas there? What if you got 5 guys there and you're Roglic? Like, do you really want to pace? Yeah, it's difficult. I think, hopefully, I mean, what's the point in Evenepoel skipping a stage that really should suit him tomorrow? And you said, how would they set it up, Benji? I think the breakaway wins tomorrow. If you're
Yep.
Jumbo Visma, you've got the stage win. You've had the red jersey for 4 or 5 days. I think you let the break win. You let someone strong but not too strong take the jersey, a la Quentin Pacher, Jay Vine sort of guy, and you hope they can hold it for this soft first week. And then, yes, you have Quickstep Benji. Alaphilippe needs to set Remco up on Vivero. Van Wilder's strong too. And that's what, but that will be behind the breakaway. So we also need to make a formal apology to Jay Vine, Benji. I think he was going for KOM points on the climb.
But why?
To get the KOM jersey.
Okay.
We're making a formal apology.
I'm not making a formal apology. I have zero interest in the Vuelta KOM jersey. Unless it comes from actual like mountain stages where
Wait till
that
Nibali starts
more.
going for it. Wait till Nibali gets to the break and Nibali and Vine going for it. And Benji be like, this is actually, if you really think about it, it's more prestigious than GC because
Yes.
Nibali's won all Grand Tours and multiple monuments. So, all right, formal apology made. Who do you think wins tomorrow? Who do you think takes red? Do you think it's breakaway?
When it comes to the stage, when I'm looking at people like Rein Tarame is the name that comes to mind.
Yes.
I feel like he's got the strength on
He attacked today.
rouleur type and had the uphill climbing abilities to be able to be one of the strongest riders in the breakaway. So he's one of those riders I'm thinking about. And I'm also going to pick your pick for today's stage. Quentin Pacher. Can I do that? Can I rob you?
You can. You can.
Okay.
I didn't pick him for every stage.
Will anyone chase a 12th in GC Quentin Pacher? I don't think so. Like, he's on 51 seconds, but I don't necessarily see it. Or do you think that's too close? Tarame is on 2 minutes together with Pozzo Vivo, Mankey's, Bacalon, so that's like the entire team of Entomache being on 2 minutes in GC. People that are far in GC. I'd love to see a Wiedeberg from DSM in the breakaway. Wasn't he like KOM jersey in Romandy? One of those Swiss races? Don't you do that to me. Didn't he win it? Did he win a stage? He didn't win a stage. He probably didn't win a stage. What am I thinking? I don't even know what race it was, okay? Was it last year? Could have been last year.
He won Paris Tours last year.
Catalunya it was. Yes.
What did he do?
I don't know what he did there. He was KOM jersey and GC leader after stage 2.
Okay. I think the person who takes the jersey won't win the stage. I think Thomas de Gent wins the stage. And
it's in Barcelona, mate.
He won a Giro stage. He beat Bini and MVDP. Right. It had nothing to do with Bini and nerfing MVDP too. It was all straight up. Beat them in a sprint. No one watched that last kilometer to disprove that. I think someone... Yeah, I really think Movistar should let Verona in the break. Like, this is the perfect stage for Verona. They really need the points. Master's looking good. I would let Verona in the break. I mean, this is... If I was the DS of Movistar, Benji, which probably never ever happening, I would get Verona in the break and I would use Enric Mas good legs and try and secure a top 5 GC position tomorrow by going in a group going hard on second last Vivero. Verona's a beast. And then if Remco and Roglic go with you, whatever. They need the points. And a podium is fine. He should podium. I think Mas looks really, really good. But yeah, I'm going with who else looks lively? Tarame's a nice pick. Champoussin, Jungle's got drops. Nibali should go on the break. Stannard, yeah.
What do you feel about him now? He lost like 10 minutes today. Was that on purpose? I don't know.
So hard to know.
Yeah, Adria, those riders, he fell on his face though in one of the sprints, so I don't know how good he's gonna be anymore. What do you expect from Marco Brenner in this Grand Tour? Do you expect him to go in breakaways? There's so many questions, but I stick with Tarame or Pacher. Yeah, I'm picking 2 riders. That's illegal, but I'll do it.
I think De Gent or Verona wins the stage and Mark Padun takes the red jersey from the breakaway. He's on 152, so that's not too bad. And I think he's a guy you can probably give the jersey to. He's going to lose a lot in the TT. But yeah, it's interesting, this Vuelta. Roglic looks good. The Vuelta isn't over yet. This was the finish that sort of suits him, but yeah, Roglic is looking really, really good. I think that's good for the race. The last question I have for you, Benji, is Ineos. Who do you think is the top dog right now based on an 800-meter punch?
How am I supposed to guess this based on this? They're fourth with Hafer in GC, fourth with Sivakov, fifth with Gegenhardt. They are seventh with Carapaz and eighth with Carlos Rodriguez. Like, I have to triple down on my Carlos Rodriguez pick, even though it doesn't make sense anymore.
This
I'd
this finish
say,
doesn't suit him.
yeah, that's true, but Rodriguez, leader, obviously.
Okay. I'm just going with Sivakov. I think they should have ridden for Gegenhardt for the stage today, though. But it's curious they didn't ride for Hayter because he's a bit inconsistent. But yeah, that was La Vuelta Stage 4. Lots to talk about. The first sort of road stage that affected GC. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow. Maybe absolutely nothing on GC, and it's just a breakaway fought between Omanika or Pierna or whatever, and that's it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for Zwift as always, and we'll see you with the recap tomorrow. Ciao.